Your parents' job is to support you, not to live through you. Continuing from part 1, let me tell you about an athlete I worked with. His parent was really involved, analyzing every game in detail, giving constant feedback, visibly frustrated after losses. He couldn't change his parents' behavior, but he learned something important. He could change how he responded to it. Before games, he'd remind himself, "I'm playing for me." After games, he'd let his parents' reactions be their reactions. He didn't take them on as his problem. In the car, he put in headphones if he needed to. At home, when sports conversations started getting intense, he'd say calmly, "I hear you, but I'm good for now." He couldn't control his parent, but he protected his own experience. And over time, something interesting happened. When his parents saw they weren't getting the reaction they expected, they actually started to back off naturally. Could his situation have been better if the parent had just been healthier about sports from the start? Absolutely. But he worked with what he had, and he found a way to keep loving his sport anyway. That's the key thing, protecting that love we talked about in the very first video. Because if the parent dynamics squeeze the joy out, you're on borrowed time. You won't last. Here's what I want you to think about. What do you actually need from your parents around sports? Not what they're giving you, not what they think you need. What do you actually need? Maybe you need them to just watch and be calm. Maybe you need them to ask how you're feeling instead of how you played. Maybe you need them to talk about other things besides sports sometimes. Maybe you need them to trust your coach to coach you. Have you ever told them what you need? Have they created space for you to be honest about this? These are questions worth sitting with. And here's something to consider as you think about this. The way your parents respond to your mistakes is going to matter a lot as you develop. We're going to talk more about this in the next video, about how mistakes are actually data, not disasters. But if your parents treat your mistakes as catastrophes, that makes it really hard for you to develop a healthy relationship with failure. If you're going to learn and grow, you need to be able to make mistakes without feeling like you're letting people down. That's hard if your parents are visibly upset every time you mess up. And if the dynamics feel really stuck, remember, you can't control other people, but you can protect what matters to you. You can set boundaries, even with family. You can find other sources of support, coaches, older athletes, other adults who get it. You can also work on building up those other legs of the table we talked about in the identity video. When you know you're more than your sport, when you have value beyond your athletic performance, your parents' reactions to your games have less power over you. Because you know your worth isn't actually determined by how you played or what they think about it. Here's another thing to consider. The skills you're developing right now, learning to advocate for yourself, learning to set boundaries with people you love, learning to stay true to what you need even when others have different expectations. These are life skills that will serve you way beyond sports. Remember when we talked about how elite athletes don't start elite? They become elite through years of development. Part of that development is learning to navigate the pressures and expectations around you while staying true to your own path. So even if the parent dynamics are hard, even if they're not ideal, you're learning something valuable about how to navigate relationships and pressure. That's real growth. That's part of building toward long-term success. Now, I want to be clear about something. If the situation at home is genuinely unhealthy, if there's yelling, aggression, threats, behavior that makes you feel unsafe, that's beyond what I'm talking about here. That requires getting help from a trusted adult, a coach, a school counselor, another family member. That's not just sports pressure. That's something that needs intervention. But for most of you, it's more subtle than that. It's well-meaning parents who are just too invested. And you can learn to navigate that while protecting what matters to you. So this week, just notice. Notice what your relationship with your parents around sports actually feels like. Notice where it's healthy and where it adds pressure. Notice what you need that you're not getting. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to have a big confrontation. Just start with awareness. That's always the first step. And remember, support feels different than pressure. You deserve to feel supported. And if you're not, that's information worth paying attention to. Your sport is yours. Own it. Protect it. Don't let anyone, even people who love you, take the joy out of it. Train the mind. Trust the process. Win from within.